My name is Hector Mendoza, and we're at Cañón del Padre. This is the colonia where we live at.
Where are you from?
California. Yeah, in Santa Ana, Orange County. I grew up there 30 years, and I was just recently deported. So now I live here. So it's quite the change from there to here.
So how old were you when you immigrated to the U.S.?
I was 6 months old. I didn't find out I was undocumented until I was 17.
You didn't even realize that you had came over illegally your entire life?
No, I never knew. I don't believe it's something you would ask your parents or parents would bring up to you.
How'd you find out?
I applied for a driver's license.
And what'd they say?
They asked me for my social security and I didn't know what that was.
And what'd your parents say?
They said, we have to move.
And you don't have to answer this if you don't want, but did you get convicted of a crime prior to being deported?
Yeah, I did. Actually, I got convicted of, grand theft for a bicycle that I bought, which I thought was legit, but ended up being stolen. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and it was worth at least $4,000.
You bought it on Craigslist?
No, I bought it off somebody on the street.
So you walked past a dude and he had a bike for sale.
He was offering the bike to sell, and my brother knew him and sold me the bike, and I was like, okay. And I got arrested. Not even that same day I got arrested. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But were you caught by like a federal agency?
Oh yeah, I was. I was at home when I was arrested and taken to federal custody. Mm-hmm. There I began deportation hearings, and I was finally deported.
The Department of Justice is issuing a directive now aimed at naturalized citizens who commit certain crimes.
Yeah, the move is raising concerns and some fears within the immigrant community.
It was a terrible experience saying bye to my parents.
Are they still there?
They're still over there, yeah. Yep.
You talk to them often?
Every day.
Would you ever think about hopping the border back?
Illegally, no. Legally, if I could, that's the first thing I shoot for. But I applied for withholdings of removal, which is asylum. Based on my social party with the LGBT community. So I'm going to stay here for a while.
Well, Stephen, Jorge Garcia had been living in the United States since he was 10 years old, and he was 39 years old today when he was deported. He was just 1 year too young to be qualified under DACA. He has a wife and 2 kids. They are both U.S. citizens, and he has been working for the last decade to become a citizen. This is video from this morning as ICE agents made sure Garcia boarded a plane to Mexico. His family gathered around him with tears and hugs, supporters holding signs saying, "Stop separating families." Jorge's wife Cindy says the moment didn't feel real until the ICE agents stepped up to take him.
That's when the tears just started flowing, because we knew that was going to be it. There wasn't much more that we could do.
Garcia's wife Cindy says for the last 13 years, Jorge has been checking in with ICE and working on finding a path to citizenship.
In total, we have given immigration over $125,000.
She says their family got some bad legal advice, it set them back, and they've continued to check in and apply for extensions to find that path.
We've never done anything without permission from immigration, because anytime you leave the city, you have to tell them where you are going.
But this last time the family checked in, immigration agents told the Garcia family he would have to leave on January 15th. His wife Cindy says Jorge has no criminal record, not even a traffic ticket. His family is devastated. He's leaving behind a 12-year-old son, Jorge Jr., and 15-year-old daughter, Soleil.
It's a nightmare. They're sad, they're depressed. They don't really comprehend everything that's going on. All they know is that their dad is gone, and they don't know when they're going to see him again.
Jorge is now in Mexico City. His wife says she's working to bring him back to the United States, but it could be 18 months before he even gets a hearing at the consulate. Now, our newsroom did contact the local immigration office, and agents there said they couldn't comment on this case tonight. Live in Southfield, Brianne Pomerini, 7 Action News.
A lot of families hoping there's going to be some sort of solution soon.
Yeah, we'll keep track on this, Brianne. Thank you for the report on that.
Idris Michelin moved to South Florida when he was just 3 years old. Now at 32, he's back in Haiti with his American wife. He says he committed a crime, and now he's living the consequences.
I still don't feel like I'm home. I still feel like I'm just roaming. I feel uneasy.
For the past few weeks, Idris Michelin and his wife Yamil have been walking the streets of Haiti, trying to mentally accept that this is now home.
I lived in the country 30 years. I never got in trouble, but I made a mistake. My morals became corrupted.
Idris was deported after serving 25 months in federal prison and 9 months in ICE custody. He was convicted of getting an illegal PPP loan back in the summer of 2020. He was living in the United States as a permanent resident, graduated from Southridge High School, and went on to Miami-Dade College. He was a licensed realtor and insurance broker. After serving his sentence earlier this month, Michelin was deported to Haiti on a flight with 120 people.
Your ankles are getting cut up. Your hands are shackled together. You know, they're telling you, hey, if there's a plane crash, you're going to grab this from here and you're going to put this on your face. How?
He says once in Cap Haitian, they were given $100 and released to family. His wife was waiting.
There's people that left only 2-3 years ago that are afraid to come here, and she's here.
The temporary protective status, or TPS, for more than 330,000 Haitians will end on February 3rd of next year. Without any other immigration protections, some may find themselves, like Idris, back in Haiti.
It's very limited here. And now that I'm here, you know, to my country where my flag is, the people are wonderful.
People think like, oh, why you get locked up? Why you get deported? For driving without a license. And to be honest, I was on my way to work and I was going fast, and then the police clocked me, and then I got pulled over, and then it started asking me about immigration and all that. I don't have his social or anything like that. And so he took me into custody, right? And once he took me into custody, I did like 5 days, and I was happy because I was about to get out. And then before I got out, he's like, hey, hold on. Go into this office. And I go in that office, and this ICE, and ICE is immigration.
So they released you into
ICE custody. But if I was, American, or if I had a social, I would have been, regular. Just 5 days, and I would have been out. But no, they put me in ICE custody, and then they just started asking me where I came in and everything. And then, to be honest, my baby mama, my baby mama took me out of jail, $5,000, and then they took me out. And then after that, I was out, right, fighting my case, then I signed a voluntary departure, which is for me to get out the country. They gave me a specific date, and I ended up staying like that. I didn't leave.
U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement deported a mother and her 4 children, including newborn twins, from Texas to Reynosa, Mexico earlier this month. Cristina Salazar is 23 years old. She was born in Mexico and married her husband, who is a U.S. citizen, in 2019. She and her kids were taken into custody on December 11th. Salazar's husband, Federico Arellano Jr., says he's fighting to get his family back. His wife and 2 older children were awaiting immigration hearings, and that Salazar missed a hearing just a few weeks after having an emergency cesarean section to deliver their twins. Federico says they called the immigration court to let them know that she was recovering from surgery and that the hearing would be rescheduled. Immigration authorities then called the family and told them to meet at a location to discuss their case, when Salazar and all 4 of her children were arrested. The twins are U.S. citizens since they were born in the country.
So ICE is now deporting U.S. citizens, y'all.
A 25-year-old U.S. citizen was deported to Mexico after a traffic stop in Texas. His name is Brian Morales. He was born in Denver, Colorado in 2001, and shortly after turning 1, his family moved to Mexico, so he doesn't speak any English. Recently, he came back to the United States using his birth certificate and other documents. On April 3rd, 2026, while on his way to work, the vehicle that he was riding in was pulled over by law enforcement near Fredericksburg, Texas. When he couldn't provide an ID, officers turned him over to Border Patrol. He tried to explain to several agents that he had a birth certificate and social security card back at home, that he could get them a picture. Instead, they refused to listen and they laughed at him. He claims that he was threatened with years of imprisonment if he didn't sign paperwork agreeing to his removal. Eventually, he signed because he was afraid of going years without seeing his daughter. On April 7th, just a few days later, he was deported to a region in Mexico he had never been to. His family believes that he is a victim of racial profiling and coercion.
His family is absolutely right, and ICE is not going to stop until enough of us say they must. Please keep calling your representatives and tell them to rein in this absolutely lawless agency that is flagrantly violating the Constitution and deporting U.S. citizens. Oh, and don't forget that right now Republicans are working on a bill to give them $70 billion more dollars, which they're going to pay for by cutting our health care more. You can't make this stuff up.
Imagine growing up in one country, going to school there, making friends, building your own identity there, and then one day being told you have to leave. Not because you chose to move, not because that place stops feeling like home, but because legally home was never where you thought it was. This is the story This is the story of people who were raised in America, ended up in Mexico. And what makes this story so difficult to process is this: by the time those people were removed from the US, Mexico felt unfamiliar for them. Different languages, different systems, different culture. Imagine arriving somewhere that is technically your country of citizenship, but emotionally feels like a foreign land. How does that happen?
When's the last time you were in Mexico?
When I was 5 years old. That was 23 years ago. So I don't really remember. I don't really know the streets. I mean, I get lost when people try to explain directions. I don't understand. I look at them like what? You know, can I just show you my phone and you point where it's at, or is this how I go? And so it's definitely a struggle and definitely a new environment. But I'll adapt. You know, I'll survive. It's definitely even though everything is compact and like close to each other, everything is so far away. Like, yeah, you're close to wherever your little, you know, town is, a little pueblo, but like everything else is like super far. Like the center of Monterrey, it's super far if you're on a bus. Center of, you know, anywhere else it's far. But when you have a car, it's like 20 minutes. I look at Google Maps and I'm like, oh man, that's 20 minutes away. But that's, you know, with your own car. And when I put the public transportation, it's like 3 hours. I'm like, oh.
Today's my last day right here in the United States.
A Mexican man who lived in the United States for 20 years is heading back to Mexico in tears. His American wife says she no longer feels safe in the country she calls home. What do you think?
I'm going to my country. I'm going to Mexico. I'm bringing my wife with me.
My name is Danny. I was deported after 23 years of living in the U.S.
My name is Carlos. I relocated, self-deported, whatever term you want to use, back to Mexico after living in the U.S. for 23 years. You know, the funny part is we both went to the United States in 2001, crossed the border illegally, lived in the U.S. for 23 years, and now we're back in Mexico, in Puerto Vallarta, Jalisco.
Stories like this begin in childhood. A child is brought to the United States at a young age. Maybe they are even born there, or maybe they are too young to remember the move. America becomes a normal life for them. School lunches, neighborhood friends, even teenage memories, first jobs, adult responsibilities. Everything that shapes identity happens in one place. And because daily life feels stable, immigration status can fade into the background until something changes. So that change might come through legal complications, paperwork issues, immigration enforcement actions, or a change in eligibility. And suddenly, something that felt distant becomes immediate. But here is the part many people don't realize. Living somewhere for decades does not automatically create citizenship. Time alone doesn't always change legal status, and that distinction can completely alter someone's future. That's where stories like this become complex and legally complicated. Well, let's try to picture the emotional side of this. You think in America slang, your memories are in America, your routines are American. Then you arrive in a place where people expect you to fit immediately. But you don't know the systems, maybe your language skills are limited, maybe you don't know how basic services work, and maybe even asking for directions feel stressful. To everyone else, you belong there, but internally, it may feel like starting life from zero. That disconnect is what makes these stories resonate with so many people, because identity is not always the same thing as paperwork. And this is where public debates become intense. Some people focus on immigration law and the importance of legal process. Others focus on human consequences, especially when someone has spent most of their lives in one country. Both conversations exist, and stories like this sit directly in that tension. Not simple, not black and white, just deeply human. So here is the question. If someone is raised in a country, builds their culture live there, and sees it as home, what should matter more? Legal status or lived reality? And I want to hear from you guys. Give your thoughts in the comments section. Because no matter where you stand on immigration, one thing is clear. Home is more complicated than geography. Sometimes the place on paper and the place in your heart are not the same. If you want more breakdowns like this, kindly hit the subscribe button to join our family. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.